as probably everyone knows right now, there's been a woman that has been shot and killed in an incident in Minneapolis involving ICE agents, where these people come out of the woodwork and blocking the roads and everything else to try and get in the way of ICE agents doing their job. I don't know what the problem is with, I don't care what political affiliation you're with, Republican, Democrat, whatever, Libertarian, I don't give a damn. The point of it is that ICE agents are trying to do their job to remove illegal aliens from the United States. The word illegal is illegal. If you're here illegally, just leave. If you're here illegally and you want to sit there and worry looking over your shoulder your whole life because you're probably going to get picked up and deported out of this country eventually, sooner or later it's going to happen to you. That is the whole point with all of this. There's no sense in rest of us Americans that have been born here or been citizens of the United States for centuries, relatives that came here legally hundreds of years ago, paying taxes and supporting this nonsense with illegals coming in here. As far as Minnesota is concerned, what is there, 80,000, 100,000 Somalians living in the state alone. They're brought in here. They're obviously voting for certain Democratic candidates. They're being allowed to facilitate and continue on with their defrauding the government of millions. Now it's billions of dollars, I should say. Sorry for saying millions. It's not even that. It's billions of dollars. And then they're taking that money and they're funneling it back into campaign contributions for Democrats. And of course, Democrats are not going to do anything about it to stop it, because they're all just greasing each other's backs. That's all they're doing. And they're making money hand over fist while regular average Americans just keep going to work, trying to pay their bills, pay for their families, and do what is right. But when you look at this whole video right here, as far as this woman getting shot, this is the part that is going to be extremely hard for anyone to see this as any different. A former law enforcement officer myself, and you're going to seriously have to explain why this bullet hole ended up in the front of this car, in the front windshield of this car, if this guy didn't think that his life was in danger of being run over.
If there was an officer in front of the vehicle, that is a basis for the use of lethal force if that officer's life was in imminent.
Right there on the screen, as you can see it, there's a bullet hole right there. Sure, the officer might have been standing a little bit off to the side of the front of the vehicle, but the front of the vehicle, obviously, he had to be standing somewhat in the front of that car, or in the front of the car, or had fear for being run over, because there's a bullet hole in the front windshield. A lot of people are going to sit there and scream, oh, you shot this woman from the side, or you shot her in the head from the side, and obviously that's not the case. Watch the video over and over again. You see all three different angles of it, and if you really want to get a good vision of what's going on with this, you look at the video that is involved in it, that is from the front of the vehicle. The last video that they showing her pull away and the officer in the front of the vehicle. And then now you got Fry and Walsh attempting to do exactly what they did with George Floyd case. They're trying to incite a riot in Minnesota. Tim Walsh is going to get out in front of this because he knows his rear end is up against the wall. He's got some meetings to go to in Congress here shortly, and I would not be surprised to see Tim Walsh behind bars along with Keith Ellison here shortly, or pretty soon. That somebody is going to answer for this $9 billion at minimum that has been stolen from Minnesota taxpayers. And I can guarantee you Minnesota taxpayers are enraged by this, me included. I'm from Minnesota, and I do not want to see my property tax statement next year being raised to pay for something that I had nothing to do with spending. And if you want to put this in perspective in Minnesota, if you're from Minnesota or even from any other state in the United States, the Vikings football stadium, the new Vikings football stadium was built here, I don't know how many years ago, not that long ago. What costs $1 billion to build. $1 billion. So you think about that, if $18 billion were stolen from Minnesota, how many Viking football stadiums that would have paid for? And then you got Democrats sitting there spewing their mouth about gun control and these kinds of things about we should ban AR-style weapons because of the Catholic shooting, the Catholic school shooting that was done not too long ago. And then they talk about they can't afford to put armed police officers in schoolhouses to prevent this kind of stuff. Yes, they can. They obviously can. Because they're handing $18 billion or $9 billion, whatever the number is. I'm sure a lot of people are saying it's over $18 billion, to the Somalian community. And the Somalian community was brought in here to make sure that certain Democratic candidates, or all Democratic candidates, continue to get voted into office. Please do not think that Minnesota is all Democrat, because it is not. There's a small portion, the most populated areas in Minnesota are Democrat, around Minneapolis, parts of it up by Duluth, some down by Rochester, and that's pretty much it. The rest of the state is basically all voting Republican because it's common sense. It has nothing to do with Republican, Democrat, or whatever. It has everything to do with common sense. I, for one, do not want to sit here and pay for a certain group of people to come in this country that are 80% on welfare, and I'm supposed to pay for them to to do what with this? To steal it, send it back to Somalia, support their political candidates, Keith Ellison, Tim Walz, Amy Klobuchar, Tina Smith, Ilhan Omar. I hope it all comes out in the woodwork and they start looking at these people's backgrounds and their finances to find out exactly where this money went, because it didn't just disappear. And I cannot imagine that the state of Minnesota or any federal government agency decides, oh, we should raise taxes to help pay for this money that has been lost. But thanks for joining my channel. I hope you like and subscribe. And again, do not get involved with rioting in Minnesota because of this shooting. I'm 64 years old, and my entire life the government has done nothing but lie. They do nothing but lie. And it's all about money. So if you're a younger person in this state, don't go down there and get yourself involved in this and destroy your life for this garbage. And do everything you can do to hold the government accountable. Pick up your phone and complain to your politicians and tell them how you're going to vote, to not vote, to get rid of them or to keep them. And that's the way it should be done. These politicians nowadays are a complete disgrace. They're completely disgusting human beings. All they're in it for is their own damn paycheck, their own money, and all they do is cover for each other. This whole ICE agents are just doing their job, and if you're here illegally, get out. Thank you for joining my channel. I hope you like and subscribe. Thank you.